And
oh, perfect. Much better.
okay. Okay. So we are live on YouTube the first time. The Cybersecurity
Hey.
Insider. Yeah, don't forget.
Okay.
And today it's episode 21. And Seth yesterday told us that he is going to prepare something for us. But before you start, I have a few items that we want to cover from yesterday, actually. And let's talk about this one. JPS attack. So one interesting thing that I got today that the JPS paid in ransomware $11 million in Bitcoins. Woohoo! Yeah, so the FBI says REvil Ransomware group responsible for the JPS attack. Just to remind the viewer, JPS was the one with the meat. If you eat meat, I don't eat meat, so it didn't affect me. I think probably Seth, you eat meat. I don't know. I don't know if this really affected you. Anyway, and they said that the company says facilities are now operational. What do you say, Seth?
It's same thing. I think a lot of this is when you really look deep. I think money was misspent in the wrong places, and they don't embrace the basics. Just embrace the basics, and they wouldn't have to go through this. Have a backup. Can somebody have a good backup, please?
So I had today a discussion with the new lead, new prospect about cyber, and I told him about the JPS and the new tactics that the criminals now these days are using, and if you don't pay them, so okay, so you won't get a key to unencrypt the data, but also the promise that they will release that information on the internet. So the information now is out there, it's open, and everybody can take it and see it and use it actually to mount new attacks. So this is something that it's interesting going on. So I don't know what to say. Again, as you said, backup.
Yeah,
Have at least 2 backups.
right. But my thing is do you trust them? What's to say that after you pay the first time, they won't come back again and say the same thing? Well, remember that data we stole last 6 months ago? You don't pay us, we're going to release it. They're criminals. How can we trust them?
No, that's the point. We can't trust them. So we need to go back to the basics and say that responsibility is on us, not about the criminals, not about any country, and do our due diligence and spend the money in the right places. And always this question, where should you spend the money? Well, what's your take on this, Seth? Well, where companies should spend the money? Can say, okay, buy new computers, sign up for new cloud services, or what's your take on it?
We start with the 3 low hanging fruit: password
Okay.
management, patching, and just it was the one you just said a minute ago, and backups.
Yes, 3 things: backup, and what else?
Password
Passwords management and
and
patches.
patch management. Yeah, those are the 3 that are just the low hanging fruit, and you'd be amazed how many people, you know, if you had simple, and then let's we could add a 3rd one in for system management, a 4th one, I mean, because if you were able to recover your systems back to back to pristine if necessary, it'd be easy to restore each of them quickly. Because if, let's say, for whatever reason you can't restore because because now I think with one of the new hacks they're encrypting the hardware. So you'd have to wipe everything out. You'd have to wipe all the hardware out. You have to wipe everything out, or you may
What?
have
Say
to
it
get new.
again. Say it
They're
again. What is that about the
they're re,
hardware?
they're encrypting the hardware. The new viruses. Give me a second. I'll tell you the name. Was
Are you talking about the firmware? It's going to affect the
uh
firmware.
no
Or
the
does,
yeah the Jack what is it Jack
yeah, it's called the
Jack something
Jack
Jackware
hack.
Jackware. That's what it is.
No. It starts with a jack.
Yeah,
To
it's
that point,
Jackware.
sure.
It's
Jackware?
yeah
No.
yeah. My assistant sent me an article on it, and I read it. Was like, look, I said I talked to you. I had mentioned it to her a couple weeks ago, and then she found an article on it. Um, yeah, hold on, let's see.
We're both checking our phones to find that relevant information.
It is. I'm pretty sure it's Jackware.
Yes, let's see.
Yep, Jackware.
Jackware.
Uh,
Okay.
New type of ransom can be 10 times as deadly as Yeah.
Yeah, that they take the devices, the hardware. Yes.
Right.
So,
So they're
yeah.
encrypting the hardware. But my thing is if you can wipe everything out, then you could start over either fresh and then restore your last, diff, or things like that. Like it gives you other options than doing a full restore.
But
If
if you
you if
but if you touch the hardware, how can you now recover? Because now they take my device, which is my phone, and made it a piece of useless plastic because now I cannot even access the hardware anymore, and I lost access to my data, and I don't have anything now. So now what?
with the Jackware, if you can actually reset everything, then you're good. If not, then the reality is then you're going to have to get new equipment.
Which makes the impact
A lot
much
more. Right.
greater. Yes, because
Well,
if
one
you
of one of the solutions, and one of the guys that was hacked recently, I know one of the engineers there, and they had a site where ransomware went rampant, and it got into a lot of the systems and got into a lot of the servers. And what they did was they virtualized everything. They basically said, use what you got, and here's your virtual image for your desktop. And they virtualized all the servers. They got everything up and running virtually. They went and I think it was through Dado or whoever it was they went through, and they virtualized everything. They had everything up and running within a day, and then slowly but surely they transitioned everything back to hardware. They were back up and within a day. So
that's a good way how to recover within a day.
yeah, because like I said, everything was virtual. The desktops were virtual and the servers were virtual. So they went from backup to virtual. So because that's what, like with Dado, you can virtualize everything. So the minute you want, you just spin it up. You just hit it. It takes the backup and spins it into a virtual session. And that's what they did. They virtualized the desktops and the servers, and, if I'm mistaken, the laptops that were out there. And so if you had a computer or something at home, you could get, you can, remote to that machine and log in and do what you needed to do. And then the IT were able to log into the servers, make sure everything was running with that, make sure everyone can work, all the services, the different services, and all their applications are working. And within a day, they were literally everyone can work. Now it's a matter of getting people access to their desktops, and then slowly but surely, whatever laptops and that they can recover, they started, recovering them hardware wise, restoring them, and that took over a week, but within a day, they were still virtual.
Okay. All right. So with that, we're gonna switch to the next item on the menu, which is another ransomware. Could that be? Massachusetts Steamship Authority hit with ransomware attack. Oh, so now the story is ransomware attack affecting the Massachusetts Steamship authorities' computer network has affected its operations. Customers were unable to make reservations or purchase tickets online or by phone. Interesting, no?
It's just, yeah, I'm not surprised, man.
Yeah, we are not surprised. Okay, I guess if people want to know what they should do about it, just watch the previous episodes that we've done, but actually go back to the beginning of this live, and they can hear what we said. The three low hanging fruit.
Well, and all the other thing is I received a notice because I think you had mentioned yesterday about the 1.2 billion dollar data hack.
Yes.
1.2 billion, yeah. Um, so I think I got an alert this morning or last night saying, "Hey, your information was breached."
Yes.
So the first thing I did, the minute I saw it, I just went in and changed all the passwords. It just had one email address, so I just changed all the main passwords for that for the different things. And one of the things we'll talk about later is because I have a password manager, I know what username, where that username, email address is connected to and what applications. And then I can go through and just change any of those, and that's it.
Right. You have a better visibility, let's put it this way.
Yeah. Password manager allows you to, uh, to look at and basically just make easy changes.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna switch now to the next item. What do you think that would be?
Ransomware again?
Good guess. Fujifilm shuts down network in a wake of a ransomware attack. Fujifilm has shut down parts of its network after becoming aware of a possible ransomware attack.
But didn't they
They
succeed? Didn't they succeed and do restores?
I don't know. The Tokyo-based company has also disconnected from external correspondence. I guess now they cannot receive emails. Maybe they can send, but can't receive. I don't know. Okay. Let's
One of
switch.
the big companies, uh, if it wasn't Fuji, there was another company that successfully they didn't pay.
Yeah, there was success. Yeah, I think we spoke about it in episode 20. We had one case of an organization that was able to fend from a cyber attack. So
right.
yeah, but
And
that was a success. Yes.
right, because they had a plan that they tested and it worked.
Incident response, people.
Right.
Incident response. Yes. Okay. So we're gonna go to. What do you think will be the next topic?
Ransomware.
You're absolutely right. Massachusetts hospital disclosure ransomware attack. Woohoo! Okay. So it's talking about a memorial hospital in Tilbero, Massachusetts, has disclosed that its network was hit with a ransomware attack in February 2021. Analysis revealed that
Oh.
patient, medical, and financial data were compromised. The hospital paid a ransom to prevent data from being leaked. This goes to what we said earlier. So not only to get the key, but also to prevent from information to being leaked. But who knows? Maybe they're going to release the information later on. Who knows? You don't have any guarantee about it.
Right. And my thing is, if this happened in February and they're telling us now, we're talking what, 5 months, 4 months? You know what I
4
mean?
months, about 4 months, yes.
Yeah. So that's kind of ridiculous. Look what happened with other companies. I think Netflix knew about it for a year before they ever released it way back when. You know what I mean? It's like, how can you do something timely when hackers out there already know about it? They have it. They're not giving you any chance to succeed.
Yeah, they don't give you the ability, ample time in order to respond and have something that you can do from your side, which
and,
is
and he and he's the other thing is not only don't they give the general user consumer other vendors. If I'm a vendor of theirs, whether I'm someone that they're getting services from or something they're providing services to, they're not giving them the ability to protect themselves because they're not letting them know in with a timely manner. So here it is 2 months. I didn't know that whatever information you have of mine is compromised, and I didn't know. I didn't. They had 2 months a head start to try to get into my network or whatever it is that they were doing.
what happened with the Equifax. Remember that?
Yeah,
Same stuff.
that's the problem I have. I think that is the one thing that there should be regulation on, that it has to be disclosed within a set period of time.
And also, the incident also affected healthcare providers that had partnered with
There you go.
this hospital. So this
Yeah,
is supply chain attack
yeah.
that affect
Well,
other providers as well.
let's not forget that one way they got into Twitter was because of an HVAC company. They got in through the HVAC system. So this is why supply chain matters.
Exactly. Let's see. Our next item is WordPress. So WordPress released the Antispam plugin manufactured released an update, the security update. That is interesting. So a company by Firewall by Clean Talk plugin for WordPress have released an updated version to fix a SQL vulnerability that could expose sensitive data. The plugin has been installed in more than 100,000 sites. Users are urged to update the most current version of the plugin, which is 5.156 or later. So SQL injection is not new anyway.
Right. Just a new form of it.
No, it's just those creators of this plugin.
Created a problem.
They didn't do what's it's called. At least get the OWASP 10 top 10 in web application security, and maybe they didn't do thorough tests. So if you expose a system, a web application to the internet, facing the internet, or even internally, you need to make sure to do what's called the web application security, do code review, either static or dynamic, in order to find those vulnerabilities. And apparently this is what happened. They didn't do what they need to do in order to verify. I mean, still, there's a limit in time and resources. So that's it. What
But yeah, but one of the two things with this one is, one, there should be people should set up their automated updates on their WordPress plugins so that you not have to worry about it. Two, even though this had a vulnerability, a good firewall like WordPress Fence, and a few of them would have stopped that SQL injection either way, that vulnerability.
Yes. So when you have a WordPress, now it also brings another point that should be mentioned. Actually, two. With WordPress, so you have the base system, the core system, and then you have all those plugins around it. They're coming to add more functionality to the core content management system, and the plugins are really become a source of vulnerability. So I had a discussion today, as I told you, with the lead, and I asked him about the website, and he said, "Do you know who is maintaining the website?" He told me, "Oh, the marketing department." I said, "Well, I don't think the marketing department will have anything about security, any concerns about security." He said, "Well, I think too as well." So here you have a marketing department that handles the website, yet they can bring a lot of problems because they don't understand the security and the countermeasures in this case.
Right,
So
and I think the problem there isn't that the marketing department has access. It's the marketing department shouldn't be in charge of the operations. Yeah, they can update, they can, do whatever they need to do for the website, but the actual operations of that website should be handled by IT. Like you said, it's they have no idea. It's like, oh, if I have a control for air conditioner, so then now I have to go downstairs and manage the air conditioner, the actual air conditioner coils. No, I just turn it on and off. That's all the marketing department needs, right? They need to access it, throw some web pages up, and that's it. Why is it their responsibility to now have to go and fix it if there's a problem?
Well, it should probably like a shared responsibility. So the marketing department will update the site with the content. Look, you need to give them the ability. You need to give them the ability, yeah, to add content and fix the content and do whatever they need. However, when it comes to security, the IT department, well, it depends on organization, right? Every organization is a little bit different and they do things differently. But ultimately, the IT should handle it, or the security people should handle it and make sure that the site is functioning, but also secure to some extent.
Right. Any operations, and I did data centers, so we did websites, we worked on applications, we worked on financial, synchronization, anything that's in a data center. If it had a connection to the outside, it belonged to us. We managed it.
Okay.
Anything that went outside the building or data came into the building for it, it had to go operationally. We had to manage it. We gave you the space. We gave you the hardware. Whatever backups. We did everything for that in the data center. So that's the biggest issue. Is operationally that should be IT. If it's a one-man spot or a 5-people spot or a 20-person IT department, that has to be in the hands of IT. The WordPress operations, the back-end operations.
Right. Okay, so I think we are done. I'm done with all my items. I mean, I have another stack of papers that we can go over, another items that we can go, but I think now we are 22 minutes and it's your time, it's your show. So I'm going to make you solo and you're going to get started.
Well, sure, not a problem. So one of the things we had talked about, and we keep talking about it, are the 3 basics when it comes to, we say, the foundations for cybersecurity. In and of themselves, they are not considered cybersecurity, but they are the great foundation. Password management, patching, and backups. Those are your biggest before you get into firewalls, before you get into anything else. These are the things that are going to, because only a third of all problems are going to be your technology, the hardware, and stuff like that. The rest of it is going to be the policy procedures, your culture, which is your policy procedures and accountability. What happens if somebody does something wrong? What penalties? And then the other part of that is going to be the human factor. And if there are people that are going to come in and purposely do things. There are people who inadvertently do things because of mistake, or people who are just apathetic or not trained, or for different reasons. So you want to minimize those things. Password managers help minimize that. It allows you to add passwords in. People could use it at home, and you can maintain separate passwords for different items. So statistically speaking, people will put a password in at work and they'll use the same password at home, or vice versa. They have a password at home and they'll use it at work. That is not good. With a breach like just happened just yesterday, and I think there was one last week or a couple of weeks ago, what the hackers and the groups out there will do will take, if they find a breach on Netflix, Joan, at hotmail.com, Joan B at hotmail.com, they'll go check that against, and if they can track down a little information from Joan and she works for ABC, Now they're going to go and check out everything related to ABC. They're going to check out every credit card company, every financial company they can find, Netflix. They're going to do all the entertainment stuff. They're going to try to track down where Joan has used this username and this password, and they're going to try to get in. And if they can figure out that Joan's username is different at work, because she hasn't, they use a totally separate standardization over there, but she may use the same password. They'll take the password and try to use it at her work, and they'll go and use all the different business software. They'll try to see which of those Joan may have access to. They'll try to use her username and password, her business username, work username, and this password that they assume she might use, and they'll put the same thing. They'll go through the financial stuff. They'll go through all the different iterations that we just talked about to see, and then they'll go to the application companies, QuickBooks, Salesforce. They'll check through all of those. Some of these people have applications that are automated for this. I put in a username and I put in a password, and it'll check 100 of them within a second. And it'll do the same thing for a work email, the username and password. It'll just check a bunch of different business related stuff, just run through CRMs, Salesforce applications, marketing applications, social media. It'll go through them all, check all the financial companies, and go through the business accounts sections and try to log in through there. You wouldn't believe how successful they are to breach quickly into these things, because there's always something you forget. And that's why password managers will help you and alleviate a lot of that problem, because if something is breached and you find out about it, you're not trying to figure out where you use that password, that username. You don't have to try to figure out. You can see, oh, I use this username over here at the financial place. So now you can go in and just change, even though you may have separate passwords. You don't know which one of them was breached. All you know is Netflix was breached or Wells Fargo was breached. Okay, so the Wells Fargo password may be compromised, but you can now go in any of the places that you use that account and change the passwords in general. The same thing, when it comes to patching, there are numerous types of products out there, that will do it. And one of the ones that I use, it's very simple for patching. Um, Patch My PC. It's it's a free tool. They have a paid version for that for businesses. You can utilize that on your machine, run it. It'll tell you anything that's in red needs to be updated. Anything that's green is good, and you'll see all the applications. And if you happen to have an application that you want that's listed, it's a freeware or it's a freemium, that you can actually install, VLC, a lot of those products out there, and you can install it, and then you're good to go, and then it will update it when you need to. And you also could do, or make sure you do all your OS patching. People will do application patching, or they'll do operating system patching, but they forget the other. And then the other thing is for Windows machines, you want to do drivers. You definitely want to make sure you're updating your drivers. So then the third part is backups. Now there are a ton of stuff, Backblaze. There's a ton of companies out there that are reasonably priced. And also remember, Dropbox is not backup. They have backup features, but it's not true backups. They're getting close. Soon enough, they'll offer a backup service, and so will Google Drive, and so will Microsoft. Soon enough, they'll offer a backup service. But as of right now, they're not backups. They're just online storage. And the difference is they are responsible. The difference between the two is one is responsible for the data and one is responsible for the environment. If your Dropbox dies tomorrow, something happened at Microsoft and Dropbox dies, they are not responsible for your data. They're only responsible for the environment. Dropbox comes back up. If your data is corrupt, that's your business. When you're dealing with backups, they're responsible for your data. They're going to make sure that your data comes up not corrupted. If something were to go down, their responsibility is to keep your data safe. So that's the difference between the two. In your SLA, your service level agreement, that's the difference in what they do for you. So online storage Their job is to keep the storage available, not to worry about your data. Like I said, some of these companies have started implementing things for backups, and yet their SLA hasn't changed much. So you have to be careful. They're still responsible for the environment. So that's one of the keys that you have to remember. Now, when you start getting into enterprise level backups, we're talking business related, or just let's move it up to business related backups. I'm going to say enterprise. I know that freaks people out. Backblaze, and there's a few other companies that will do this. Dado, there's Storage Guardian. There's a ton of them out there that you as a business can get a hold of that, and they will back up your machine, and they can do bare bones backups, and meaning that if something were to go wrong, you can restore back to a clean, dead machine. So if the machine is new out of the box, you can restore right to it, bare bones. And the same thing for any of the other devices, laptops, computers, stuff like that, servers. So when you're able to do that, it makes it easier for you to restore from a virus, ransomware. If they're encrypting the hardware, you can wipe that. And I'm assuming most people know how to do that. You wipe the hardware, you can reset everything, no matter what they do. All that can be reset. The difficulty of it makes it, depending on what they encrypting and where they're encrypting at, may make it a little more difficult. But you can recover from that and also the biggest thing with backups. Remember, disaster recovery planning is about multiple layers of how you plan and what, in case, like he was saying, an incident plan of what happens and what do we do. Um, you know, Disaster recovery, backups are for files. A file is missing, we want to restore. We want to restore a machine. We want to restore different things. But what happens when a site goes out? What do you do then? What happens if there's a water main, or like what happened with COVID? You can't get back into the site. What do you do then? That's where your disaster recovery plan comes in. If you don't have those type of plans, it's not going to work. So if you can just do those three things and start with that, then you can build with antivirus and endpoint protection and MDR. You can go from there, and it makes it more effective. But it's like I can put $1 million security on my house, but if I leave the door open, it makes no difference. So that's where you want to just start with the basics. And for any business, password management, patching, and backup planning, or disaster recovery planning, are going to be your key to giving a great foundation so you can build on. And it doesn't cost a lot to do. It's probably the best investment you're going to have. So is that's enough for you, Yigal? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Now I hear you. There you go.
Yeah, okay. So I think you covered a lot of ground here. So I have a few comments here. One with a backup and restore. Some solutions, and I think most solutions, covering the ability to restore to a different hardware. So let's say if you had an HP, and HP is not available for any reason, and we know now there is a shortage with chips because the war between Taiwan and China, and who's going to control the supply chain here. So let's say you have an HP and you need to recover, and the only available hardware that you have is a Dell. So be able to restore it to a Dell, regardless of the hardware. Or if you had an HP machine and the hard drive is corrupted or damaged, because hardwares can go bad at any time, and so you can put a new drive, restore it to the drive, and you're fine. So this kind of the restore the comment that I wanted to make, and patching. Just enable if you're using Windows, just enable the patching within Windows, and definitely anybody that
the automatic patching doesn't do drivers.
No, it does, but no, you need to go to the advanced and then enable that and then install it manually. in order to install, but you can do it in a different way. So let's say you have one of those computers that I keep saying HP, but say Dell or any kind of company. They have already their own package that when you install it, it will do automatically updates to the hardware. But they won't do update for the firmware. For instance, the BIOS. They won't update the BIOS automatically, and the procedure to update the BIOS is a little bit more complex than in some cases. Yeah, so there's a give and take, and then you have also the other applications like what's the name, like Adobe Acrobat, for instance, or even Chrome. They keep publishing updates. How can you update them? So if it's Chrome, they're gonna put you like a reminder. There is an update available, and by the way, they have a special service in Adobe that will go and Chrome, and will update. Also Adobe, they have the ability to do auto updates. So some of the solutions, some of the software has already. You just need to enable it and let it run. However, just want to mention that in some cases where you enable automatic updates, it may cause to the computer to sometimes not to function very well. And this happens. But it's better that the computer won't function, or it's going to be like that, or the other alternative that will be attacked by ransomware or some kind of an attack. It's better to be down because of some incompatibility with hardware or driver or software than being attacked and have that impact of loss of data and ability to function.
And part of what we were talking about earlier, which I didn't mention here, was that with backups, when you start utilizing some of these enterprise level type backups, like he said, they'll allow you to restore to different types of equipment. And then the other thing is, in the interim, while you wait for equipment, you can virtualize it. I think I mentioned it earlier. That happened to a site where they virtualized everything. They allow you to virtualize the servers. They allow you to virtualize the desktops and the laptops. So you can do that in a pinch. Or if somebody loses a laptop, or if something is broken, a guy, he was going to an airport and his laptop got run over by one of those little carts, the airport carts. It slipped out of his hand and the guy ran it over. He was able to go to the hotel, and IT talked to him, and they virtualized his laptop. He was able to work for at least a day or two till they sent him another laptop that he could start working again. So that was another way that virtualization works in a pinch if you need to.
Yes, and we in our company, we're using virtualization. I mentioned it before we started our session. Workstations are virtualized, so we don't work directly on the system. So all the information is actually the sensitive information. It's in virtualization, but then all the information is encrypted. Mm-hmm. So in order to get the information, really, you need to go through few passwords until you get in and have the ability to access the data itself. I mean, it's a software. In the end of the day, virtualization is a software, and you might be able to find vulnerabilities, but this is going to be a hard thing to do. So security, as we mentioned in episode 20, and keep talking about it, security is about layers, the onion approach.
Right, and once again, the human factor is a major issue. And the reason I say that is that people can make mistakes and not realize it. Just the other day, one of the senators was responding to something someone did, and he took a picture of his screen. But the funny part was, right next to the screen was a note, a sticky note, and on it was his username, his email address, and his password for his email. And literally within seconds, it was all over the internet. So be careful. He was trying to be funny and made himself look like a fool. And it's happened. I actually watched a program where they were a bunch of guys in a data center, and they were talking to them about stuff in the data center. And they were talking to one guy, and over his shoulder was the network password on a board. If you looked over his shoulder, you saw it was right there on like a whiteboard, and nobody noticed it. until that thing came out, whenever it came out, and then people were like, oh well, by the time it went by the time it was released, we realized it and we changed them. So when it was released, we were good. But that's funny. If had that been live, they'd have been screwed.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay, this is bad. Okay, anything else you have on your list, or we are done? What do you say?
I think that's a good way to start. I think those are the three to start, and then from there you can, antivirus. We can get into the debate of antivirus, endpoint protection, and EDR, MDR. But the thing is from there, I think you can build on it whichever way you want to go.
Okay, so let's summarize it. Backups, password
Patching.
management, and patching.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh,
All
and,
right.
and sub A, backup planning also.
Oh, backup and make sure to
Disaster
have at least two places where you store backups. So let's
recovery
say
planning.
if you can't access one backup, you can always have access to the other one. Okay, so with that, we are finishing this episode 21 of the Cybersecurity Insider. Me, the host, Yigal Behar, and Seth, our super guest, as we call you. Thank you for joining for this first live stream. We had a failed live stream a few minutes ago when we tested it. So with that, thank you. And hopefully we'll touch base again, maybe next week, and we'll do more sessions. We'll bring more information, useful information to our viewers. Or maybe next time we'll do some kind of a little bit more in-depth presentation about cyber. And I think we can conclude. Oh, don't forget, please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Well, it's written a little bit different, but that's okay. So share, subscribe, and like. Any comments? Put them below.
Stay aware and stay safe, man. That's all I can say.
Exactly. And say hi to your dog out there, because I hear him moving around. Okay.
I got 3 of them.
Oh. Good luck with that. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Seth. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay.